your crock pot and you put it on. I put it on high because what you're doing is melting the coconut oil and melting your beeswax. So I just kind of break it up. It'll go quicker if you break it up. You can buy beeswax in like a pellet form, and that will break up the easiest. I just have this from my beekeeping supplies. The reason I didn't put this hunk in is because it would take a while. And right now I'm at my mom's house and Jackie's at school and I only have a few hours. So you're gonna need 1/4 cup of beeswax to start. I'm doubling the recipe because everyone and their mom, I make this about once a year, twice a year depending, and everyone wants some. So I have to make sure that I have a lot. Coconut oil, you're going to do 1/2 cup, so I'm going to do a full cup. I'm just going to take my clear measuring cup. Now when you want to put it in, you don't want to put it in a big hunk. You want to break it up. For measurement reasons, I'm kind of just going to fill this. But as I put this in, and don't just walk away from it too. It takes just a little while to melt down, but you don't just want to walk away from it because you can just take like a knife or a spatula and kind of break it up as it goes, and it goes a lot quicker. So about 1 cup. And you're okay if you do a little too much or a little too little. I mean, not too little, but on the oils, that's the base of it. So just going to add it all in here. Kind of break it down. And then it's also 1/2 cup of olive oil. So we're doubling it, so 1 cup. And you might want to, Costco has the large jugs of olive oil. I know Whole Foods does as well. Plugged in all the way. This I just had in my cabinet and I had a whole bunch of them, so I was like, I'm just using this today. Because I just wanted to finish this bottle and I think it'll be just the right amount. This can get messy, so make sure you wear a shirt or what have you that is not, that you're not afraid of getting, because once oil gets on here, then, you know, that's hard to get out. Now, all the oils have broken down. The coconut oil has broken down. There's a little bit of beeswax still in there that has not broken down, but I only have a certain amount of time. So, you take your dried calendula and put it in here. You want to make sure it's all submerged underneath the oil. And you're going to let that simmer in there for about 2 hours. Now, what it's doing is the oil is taking out all of the healing power and medication that is inside calendula. Calendula has been used from the Romans to the Egyptians. The Egyptians used it a lot. It's a healing plant and something that's been used for that long. And it's amazing. If you've ever used it or it's been in any kind of lotion that you have, you realize how strong and how powerful this flower is, and I'm just madly in love with it. So I plant it every year. I plant as much as I can, and I use it constantly in this healing salve and other lotions that I make. And so that will simmer and take everything out. So the original recipe that I used, it said do all of this in like a pan on the stove. But I was like, okay, this was obviously written a long time ago, and crock pots, if I'm going to simmer something for 2 hours, I'm going to do it in a crock pot. So you don't have to keep it on high. Turn it down to low now. You can put a timer on if you want. I'm just looking at the time. So you let that go for 2 hours, and then you can go on to the next step. So as you can see, everything's melted down. And just the flowers are in here now. They're starting to turn like a brown. It's been about 1:40, almost 2 hours. So it's been enough for everything to get released. You can simmer it longer if you like, but I think it's been about 2 hours. I think it's all pretty much done. So I have this. It's looking a little dirty because it has some wax from the last time on it. I got this from either Walmart or a thrift store. I think a thrift store.
There's also these bags. They use them to make cheeses, but I bought a bunch. They were inexpensive. I got them on Amazon or something along those lines, and I use it to strain this stuff out. And you can also use cheesecloth, depending. Because I put the wax in here beforehand, which I recommend not, I just didn't have enough time, I'm going to use the bigger strainer. If a few little things you can see towards the bottom, there's a few little petals and such. And if they get in, it's no big deal. You just don't want the giant chunks of everything. Put the paper towel down to make sure that if I do drip, it doesn't get on the counter. This is marble, so it was easy to clean, but just in case. Have all your jars ready, sanitized. I just bought these, so they're all ready to go. I have 8 out. I have 2 as backup because once I get started, it's going to be not easy. So once I've strained all the flowers out, and this is in here, you're going to want to pour it in to your containers. You're going to let it sit for about 15 minutes. Ooh. See, this is a double batch, and these are pretty large containers, but I'm gonna need to make more because these things go like wildfire. And if you want to start out using smaller containers, that's probably your best bet because everyone's going to want some. And like Megan gets super stingy with hers. She like won't give, she'll give them like a lipstick container full. So you can see there's a little bit of things in there. This one's a little darker. There's some things in there, but that's okay. This is just part of the flowers. The healing part of the flowers is in here. So we're going to let it sit for about 15 minutes. You're going to see it getting lighter and start to set up. And that is when you're going to add your essential oils. You don't want to use them right now while this is super hot because it will kind of, not kill, but it will take down the strength of your lavender and your tea tree oil. So we'll let this sit for about 10 or 15 minutes. It's pretty warm to the touch, and plus it's glass, so that kind of retains a little bit. And then once this cools down and starts to set up, then we'll put our drops in, stir it just a little bit with a wooden stick and like a skewer, and then you're good to go. You just put the lids on and let them cool, and then you can give them to anybody. Okay, when you start to see it getting foggy like that on the bottom, it's starting to cool down. Just doing it a little bit on all of them. That is when we start to put in the essential oils. So you're going to want to do 15 of each. The label on, I'll show you mine. And you can use them, give them to family members. They could be Christmas presents. I give them to all my friends. I use them at baby showers. I give them because they're amazing for babies. For diaper rash, any little nicks, cuts, scrapes, they're amazing.